Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today for this session, which is entitled Finding Your Niche. Appreciate you all coming today. Day 3 of ATM gets a bit tiring, so we appreciate your effort coming today. So today's travel and tourism market, it's fiercely competitive, and it's difficult to stand out from the crowd, particularly if you offer mass market products that, let's face it, everyone is selling. At the same time, customers are demanding unique and personalised experiences and adventures. They want to be inspired with imaginative packages that are tailor-made. That's where the travel experts and specialist knowledge have a huge role to play. Today's panellists all provide specialist and niche products, and they do it extremely well. They're here to tell us how to think outside of the box, identify new source markets for business, and collaborate with industry partners to put together imaginative packages. So let me introduce you to them. So I'm going to start over there, yonder. We have Debbie Duncan-Studart. She's General Manager for Abercrombie in Kent. And Debbie has worked in the travel industry for more than 20 years, and she specialises in luxury travel. At Abercrombie in Kent, she crafts unique, complex and tailor-made packages in destinations all around the globe. Sitting next to her, we have Nabil Sharif, who's the founder and director of Serendipity Tailor Made. That's a leading luxury halal-friendly tour operator based in the UK. His advice to going niche is to follow your heart, be the first and be the best, but avoid fads, he says. Sitting next to Nabil, very good advice. Helen likes it. Let me introduce Helen. Helen Beck, Vice President, International Sales and Marketing for Crystal Cruises. Helen has worked in the travel industry for more than 30 years, and her knowledge of the cruise industry is second to none. Cruise is a prime example of a booming, not so much a niche market anymore, and increasingly the cruise lines are offering tailor-made itineraries and options for their guests. Her advice is be a challenger brand. And then the gap there, that's going to be me, so don't worry. Moving over to Michael Marshall, Chief Commercial Officer for Minor Hotel Group. Michael heads up sales, marketing, revenue and distribution. He's responsible for 6 brands, including Anantara, which most of you know is a brand known for offering unique destination experiences. The portfolio of Anantara properties really lend themselves well to multiple stay packages, and his advice is don't just follow, go in and build a market. And last but definitely not least, we have Robin here, Robin Parry. He's the Vice President for Emirates Holidays. And Robin too, he's an industry veteran, more than 20 years, with experience in Europe and the Middle East, across tour operating, retail, cruise, online travel, you name it. This obviously makes him well placed to provide top tips on customer trends and how best to tap into them by specialising. He's noted the trend for experiential travel is about what you do, not what you have. Right, so on that note, let's take a little journey over here. This time I'll bring my mic. Yesterday I left it here and nearly got strangled, so it's always a good idea. Right, that's better. So, first of all, panellists, I'd like to really discuss why is it important in this day and age that we do specialise? What are the benefits? So I think we can ask all of you that question, so I'll just start with Debbie. Debbie, why should we specialise?
Hi, can anybody hear me?
Can we get some mic action at the end? Yeah. Okay. I think that's better now. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, you're on.
Hi, good morning everybody. It's nice to be here again. Thanks for inviting each other. I think it's important that we specialise in certain products because it's easier. One of the benefits we find is it's easier to train your staff on a certain product, so then they know it inside out, and then it's a lot easier to sell to the client. I think the client feels a lot happier, a lot more confident when there's the first phone call they make to us and they speak to somebody knowledgeable about that destination that they specialise in. I think that's one of the major benefits.
So would you say these days that's what people are looking for, because they can go anywhere to get travel advice, internet, so that's the...
Yeah, absolutely. They can go online, they can go on social media, they can talk to their friends. Generally, all our specialists have travelled to that country and done it inside out. So they can not only advise on hotels, I think it's more about selling the experience, the things they did when they were there, what you can do and what you can't do. And I just think the client feels a lot more confident and at ease with booking with you if you can do that.
So that expertise really makes you stand out from the rest, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Coming on to Nabil. I mean, can you tell us a bit about your story, how, because it's very interesting about how you decided to specialise, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we started 5 years ago under a lot of pressure to begin a brand new business in a market that pretty much didn't exist. At the term halal holidays was not very well known. It wasn't really a term. We coined it out of nothing. We actually started our business in the middle of a recession. Now, I don't expect or advise anybody to do that, but one of the greatest assets of being different is that you can survive turbulent times. And with the travel industry, it is so saturated. It's been saturated for over probably a couple of decades, really, going from the standard all-inclusive packages that you get off the shelf all the way through to the expertise and the tailor-made products that Abercrombie and Ken, for example, make. So when you're standing out and you have to make yourself a little bit different from the crowd, we really had to look at something that was a need that needed to be serviced, and we really looked at ourselves. We started by looking at ourselves. We turned around and said, okay, what do I want? What do I want to get out of a holiday? And that's really where we started. So it's important to differentiate, it's important to look at the channels that we work with now. And going forward, I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. It's just a matter of finding them.
Thank you, that's brilliant. And Helen, I mean, with cruise, what have you seen with industry partners that do specialise in cruise, and how has that benefited them?
Good morning, everyone. Lovely to be here. Thank you. Good question, as always. When you joined or did the introduction, Jenny, you mentioned that cruise is sort of becoming more mainstream. I disagree slightly.
Sorry, Helen.
Sorry, starting disagreement already. I think in some markets, cruise has become mainstream. So I'd look at the US maybe or the UK, where there's greater awareness. But certainly, I think if you look at most emerging markets around the world, where cruise is still a relatively unknown concept, so therefore we sit still very much in the niche area. But I think that the joy of cruise is that you can have those specialists who've identified that cruising is such a great opportunity for a holiday of any style. It is very broad spectrum and reaches a broad spectrum of tastes. And so if you can specialise and really identify your target market, identify the cruise lines that really fit to your segment, then I think that's really where the strength is in specialising. And I would recommend any of the travel partners. I consider travel partners to be, they are the foundation of the industry. When you look at our frontline agents, and they've got the hardest job on the planet. How can you know everything? It is impossible. So therefore, I think to be a successful company within travel, you have to specialise and do the best you can with your agents, your frontline agents, to make sure they've got the wherewithal to be the best they can be. They cannot know everything, so helping them to specialise will therefore make your business more successful.
Thank you, Helen. Now, Michael, we had an interesting conversation this morning, very briefly, didn't we? Now, you were talking about how, with your brand, you were going into markets that were traditionally $50 markets, $50 a night, but bringing in products, being a pioneer, where you can charge $500 a night. So how has specialising benefited Mine Hotel Group?
I think the key is that your brands are really differentiated, and they really are true to what their DNA is and what the essence is. So if you take Anantara, which was our first brand, our differentiation really, their specialisation is in having really true local experiences, and we were one of the founders of this, and they really are true. And having hotels that, we're a Thai company, and we have some special part of the hotel that is Thai, usually the spa. We're very well known for the Thai spa, or some element of Thai food. But what we do is we really take the local culture and local environment into the design of our hotels and into the service delivery, and deliver these experiences. So Anantara, for example, has been able to come into the Middle East from Asia with Qasr Al Sarab, that you all know, and Savani Yas, and develop products that really suit the local market here, give you real Arabic local experiences. And we're able to target a clear market that's prepared to pay $500 rather than $50. So you've got to get your market really clear and targeted.
Okay, great, thanks Michael. Robin, Emirates Holidays, so what are you doing to kind of go down this specialisation route, and why is it important? I mean, particularly with your global experience then coming here quite recently to this role.
Okay, and before that, I'll just probably say that there's a slight difference between specialism and niche.
Sure.
Because you can actually
Good point to make, yeah.
You could actually be a specialist in mass markets, and a lot of the OTAs do that
True,
extremely
yeah,
well.
yeah.
It is quite commoditised, but through technology and through their targeting and through the capabilities of making it easy for people to book, they're specialists in that.
Yes.
Niche is slightly different.
Yeah.
And niche, I think, for anybody who's thinking about niche market, should be very, very conscious of the objectives of going into it, because it doesn't give scale, for sure. And also you have to be extremely, extremely capable of delivering it. And that depends where you are on that value chain. So whether it's selling it, whether it's actually developing it as a product, whether it's delivering it as a product, you've got to be very, very, very good. Because often in a more niche market that you have, your customers will be very, very knowledgeable about it. So you've got to be able to deliver to them. For Emirates Holidays specifically, expertise is key to us, absolutely fundamental. We don't play in the commoditized world. What we try to deliver is tailor-made, bespoke holiday experiences for people flying on Emirates Airlines, wherever that may be in the world. Dubai is obviously very, very central to us, so we work very, very, very hard implementing Dubai. Because we've made a very, very clear direction that we can't compete, we don't want to compete in that commoditized OTA world. There's a lot of customers, and a lot of this is customer driven. Customers want decent experience, they want to try things, they want authenticity. They want to travel with a company that can understand their needs, match those needs, give them the expertise, give them the guidance, and more importantly, look after them from beginning to end as well.
Do you think a lot of people are kind of afraid they kind of get trapped in the mass market, like you say, you can specialise within that, but do you think there's a bit of a fear factor? It's better to follow rather than be a leader. Is that a problem?
I would say it depends on your objectives, your commercial objectives, really. To be quite honest, I think in the commoditized world, it is harder to differentiate, and that's the key thing. And if you struggle to differentiate, then your business is less defensible. I think the more niche that you can go, and if you're really, really good at it, if you can do the complex really, really well, that's very defensible. It's hard for somebody else to imitate you and copy you. If you're in the mass market end, in the commoditized end, it's easy to copy. And in fact, the biggest driver more than anything else in that is the technology.
Yes.
The technology is actually driving that more than anything else at this moment in time. Not the expertise in that product, not the expertise in customer service, not the expertise in delivering a wonderful experience for people. It's the technology that's driving that.
Sure. Okay, thanks, Robin. So guys, how do we decide what to specialise in? If there's people here today, where's the starting point? Perhaps, I think the real pick on the spot. How do people decide?
I'm a big believer that you need to not wait for an opportunity to find you. You need to go find that opportunity, and it's a lot more difficult to do than it probably was maybe 20 years ago. Purely because the opportunities are a lot more difficult to find. It's a needle in a haystack. But really look at the strengths of your business. Look at what you're good at. For example, we have very, very strong relationships with our suppliers. We've worked with some of our suppliers for over 10 years. And we have a very good relationship with them. We've got a very loyal customer base. So we work on what our strengths are. We're not going to suddenly set up a sub-brand that specialises in wine tours. We know nothing about wine. It'll be completely offensive to anybody that's coming to us to ask for a wine tour, because we can't service that. So we play to our strengths. One of my mentors always said to me, use your strengths to build your weaknesses. Now, I'm not using it to build wine tours, but at the end of the day, every one of us do have something that we need to work on to develop in a different way. Now, I'm speaking on this panel as probably certainly the smallest and the most humblest as a company of all my experienced panelists here. So I'm certainly looking at it from an SME perspective. And the SME market is certainly a part of the travel industry which will drive the niche sector, purely because you're looking at a much smaller base, you're looking at a specialised client, and a lot of the time you need those specialised people to service those people, to service those clients. So my personal opinion is really just to start with your strengths and go from there.
Okay, I mean, Debbie, with what you do at Abercrombie, obviously it's all luxury, but luxury isn't a niche. So how do you drill
absolutely.
down and how do you decide? Is it client-led and then you package it, or?
It's very much client-led. I mean, luxury, we've done that word to death in Dubai for
Yes, I mean, everything's
10
luxury,
years,
isn't it?
everything's
Yeah.
luxury. And luxury to one person isn't the same as luxury to another. Luxury to one person is a private jet and a penthouse suite. Luxury to somebody else is being able to turn their phone off.
Yes. Yes.
So it's very client-led, and I totally agree, is you should concentrate on what your strengths are, what you're good at. For instance, we started 52 years ago in Kenya. It's still our best-selling destination. Safari is still what we are, the top with Jeffrey Kent. We're still at the
Could you
top.
tell us a bit about Jeffrey, you know, why it's so special and how it was following his dream, wasn't it?
Yeah, he started off with an ice bucket and a Jeep 52 years ago and started doing safaris with his family, and that's how it all started. But he's been an adventurer since day one. He drove his motorbike from Cape Town to Nairobi or something when he was 16, so travel's in his blood. But I think, you know, one of the things we specialise in, where we find our clients love it, is most of our top-selling destinations is we have Abercrombie and Kent staff on the ground. So when you're met at the plane door, it's by an Abercrombie and Kent guide. They're my colleagues. They're not somebody that we've just taken on to look after our clients.
Right,
and that just makes it such a seamless
So it's a
experience.
seamless.
Yeah. So if there's a problem while they're away, it just gets sorted straight away. Often if there is a small problem, we don't even find out about it. And I think that's one of our strengths, and it's about knowing your suppliers as well, and the relationships you have with your suppliers. Because if you don't have the relationships with your suppliers, they're not going to treat your customers like you want them to.
And I guess what you're talking about is not just deciding on a niche and going with it, it's following through across every touch point.
It's following
isn't it?
through and also listening to your clients. If you've got a good client base, a loyal client base, they will talk to you and tell you what they want. And that's where our ideas come from and what we're going to do next. But we never do anything unless Jeffrey's tried it himself.
Yes, I interviewed him, he told me that, yeah. He told me there's a couple of things he wouldn't sell, but I won't go into.
Yeah, he went into space once and decided we weren't going to go into
Yes,
that
yeah,
market.
he went there with, I heard about that one. So what niche markets or what trends are we noticing today? What are clients wanting? And anybody would like to pick that up? I mean, I'd like to talk about cruise specifically. So we could start there. Yeah.
Jump in first. I'll probably use a word that, colleagues, experience. It's one of the things that we're seeing more and more is, and I think I count myself in this. It's about having an amazing experience, and it can be at any stage of your life, any sort of budget stage of your life, from a financial wealth perspective. But it's gone beyond just going somewhere to go and tick the boxes. It's going somewhere so that you can really enjoy that whole experience. And the ways of doing that are myriad. I mean, the experience of going on a safari, I mean, that's a whole different topic. But I think everything we do is driven by passion. That's the other word that came to mind with both of you speaking, was, you specialise in something that is a passion to you. And for me, this is where the travel industry has an edge, because we're involved in dreams. This is what we all work hard for through the year, is to go and have 2-3 weeks on holiday and then disconnect and have some amazing experience. And whatever that means to you from a luxury perspective or whatever it is. For me at the moment, I've been on a trip for 26 days around the world. Quite honestly, luxury for me is going home, having a cup of tea. And baked beans on toast. I'm so sad. That is the definition of luxury, is completely different.
And what's Crystal doing to, drill down to tailor-make itineraries? Because obviously, they're all on the same boats on each. Ship. That's twice today, Helen. Sorry. What are you doing to drill down to?
Again, I think Debbie raised a very good point. It's all about what your customer asks you to do, tells to, Crystal's going through a wonderful expansion program over this last year. So we're moving from being a traditional, not that there is a traditional cruise company, but we're moving from being a cruise company to becoming a travel company. So we're expanding into river cruises, yachting, air, but no worries, Robin. Two aircraft. Okay, we're not going to take over the world just yet. But we talk to our customers. We have a lovely database of very loyal clients called our Crystal Society members who are beyond passionate about Crystal. And we asked 10,000 of them if they were going on river cruises, and what did they think if Crystal was to go into river cruises? And 9,600 responded to say, well, we've been waiting for you. Finally, you're going into river cruises.
So something as simple as research.
Something as simple as that. And then what we're doing is, we're launching our first river yacht, Crystal Mozart, in July this summer. And it is really specialising, it's keeping the DNA, the core of what we're doing is we've been a very successful company with 2 ships for 25 years, and that DNA of ultra-luxury service, attention to detail, options, space, experience, will run through every brand extension that we do, river yachts, air, whatever the extension is. And we hire for attitude. Our staff, our crew are hired for attitude, and we train the needed skill. So when we launch our luxury air program, we're actually going to take our butlers from the ship and put them onto the aircraft, and then we'll train on the safety skills that are needed. So it's coming at it from a different perspective and taking what works for us as Crystal.
That's really interesting. Debbie and Helen should chat. It was interesting, probably what Helen was just talking about there, about how they did that customer research and then found this market that was waiting to happen. Now at Emirates, you have got a giant database of all these millions of people that fly around the world with Emirates. How do you tap into that to try, everyone's talking about personalisation these days, aren't they? How do you tap into that to identify what people are wanting, and then what trends are you noticing, and how is Emirates Holidays responding with, niche offerings?
I'll touch on the last question first.
Whatever we'll do.
About the trends, and I think the key thing for Emirates Holidays, we have lots of source markets, so there are lots of different markets, and the trends vary considerably depending on the market. So if you take and it's a lot of it's down to the maturity of the market as well, in terms of the experience the customers have within there. A lot of it down to the ability they've had to travel in the past. For Europe, for example, which is relatively mature, what we're seeing as a trend is a lot about the experiences for sure, but within that, authenticity is a key thing, that people want authentic experiences, because they've travelled a lot and they've seen a lot, they've been to lots of places, and it's really trying to get under the skin of a culture or a city or a place. And we're definitely seeing that as a trend going on. In terms of the research perspective, yes, Emirates has lots and lots of customers and lots of loyal customers, which is brilliant. And in terms of developing products, it is about understanding customers' needs and having that real deep insight, and then having the capability to deliver it effectively and do it better than your competitors. So we work very hard on that. And there is a real element, I think it was being talked about earlier with customers now, that co-creation of product. So I think it's changed. In the old days, a lot of the time, it was travel companies would say, here's our product, come and buy it. Whereas nowadays, customers are much more sophisticated, much more access to information, much more experienced in travelling. And by really listening to customers and their needs and the nuances of those needs, you can co-create product together.
Yes.
And that's quite an exciting area, really. And that's where niche can really play its part, because you can get niches within niches of that. You just got to be careful commercially in terms of your objectives. Back to my first point, whether that's where you want to go commercially, but also about your capability. Because the more niche you go, the better you've got to be at doing it. And I think it's been said before, if it's a passion and you love it, there's a good chance you'll be really good at doing it as well. And then your customers will enjoy it. And if they enjoy it, you get the magic thing of advocacy. Like they go out, tell everybody how great it is, and they recommend it to people as well.
Advocacy, that's a good one to talk about in a minute. But Michael, Robin mentioned about authenticity, which I thought, great, that will lead me on to Michael perfectly. Now, you offer destination experiences. I mean, from my experiences at Anatara Properties, for example, that's what you're offering. I mean, what are you noticing in terms of you know, niches and experiences and authenticity and what people are wanting, not just necessarily in the Middle East, but all your properties, you know, Asia, etc.
I think picking up on the point, people are looking for real, true, authentic experiences, and that's something that we are able to deliver. Because what we do is we tend to go to the destinations which people are not going to yet. You know, the secondary, third level destinations. I can give you an example for Sri Lanka. We went into Sri Lanka when the wars were still going on. You know, it was a troubled destination, and tourism was limited. And you know, we went in with our Avani brand, and now you know, 4 years later, we're bringing in 4 Anantaras that are in amazing locations and are really game changers in that market, offering real local cultural experiences in locations that people have never even thought about going. But we're seeing that people are looking as well. I mean, you touched on personalization, and it's a big buzzword, but actually there's so much information out there about people. You know, if you look at your Emirates database or whatever, there's so much information about your customers out there. But bringing that together into one place so that you can really then actually deliver what they're looking for and wow them when they're not expecting to be wowed. You know, that's like you saying in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, we do, say for example, in the Maldives, you know, someone's in one of our villas, they've got the sunset, they're not expecting it, but in the afternoon we build a little space on the beach, dig a hole and everything, lay a table, put champagne there, and they have a sunset cocktail that they weren't even expecting. So, you know, these are the things that then will build the loyalty with your customers. And I think you have to look at being the first into destinations. You know, China, we went into China, we were not the first to go in, all the big boys were there. We couldn't get the primary locations, so we went into places that you may not have even heard of, like Xishuangbanna, which is in the Yunnan province, which is, you know, really in the tea area, you know, in the jungle. And, you know, we opened a hotel there, and it's difficult to get to. But, you know, if your offering is so good and it's tailored and you know what your customers are, people will make the effort to go there. It's the same with Mozambique in Africa. You know, there was wars going on and everything. We've gone in, we've got 3 Anantaras there. It's a challenge, but you're leading the market, and other people will follow you, but you'll be ahead and you'll be the leader.
And how do you find the people that want to go there? It's kind of, you know, going in there first and then build it and then they'll follow.
You have to really, you know, use all the channels, and you have to target very carefully. You know, do a lot of research and work with all the partners. That's the key. You know, you are all key partners of ours. And often when you're in these challenging or different or new destinations, you need a good partner on the ground. And often we go in with a JV partnership. So we're investing, you know, significantly, but you need local knowledge, and you know, that's across the board, from delivering the experiences and developing the packages or whatever you're doing, but also, you know, on a financial, legal, tax, name it, everywhere. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Now, is there anything that people should maybe avoid in terms of niches? I know, Nabil, when we had a little chat online, and you were saying about avoiding fads. But at the same time, you've come up with some really cool niche offerings that aren't fads. So how do you differentiate between, so you're thinking about the mancations you were talking about and the sister holidays.
Yeah.
If you could expand on those, 'cause I like those, they're cool.
Well, I mean, within our industry, we have a bit of a blank canvas, to be honest. We could look at so many different aspects of themes within the halal-friendly spectrum. We could look at solar holidays, we could look at adventure holidays, wildlife holidays, and bring all those themes in together. When I mentioned fads, one of my, and we've learned this through experience, you can't look at everything that's relevant to your market and think, right, that's going to be commercially viable. You need to make sure that it is going to generate revenue for you. You need to make sure that it is going to be beneficial for you and for your clients. For example, I came across a dry hotel during ATM, very, very excited about it, or us coming about it. Lovely little hotel, but it was in a location that just didn't serve my clients. You know, I could put it on our website, but it's really not going to generate any revenue. On the flip side, I came across this beautiful luxury tents in Nagaland. They only operate 14 days a year, and that's got an experience that I can't replicate. I don't know anybody else that can replicate, and it's such a unique product. So from our perspective, we're creating experiences, and we've said experiences, but experiences really do make niche travel what it is. We have sister tours, which really leans towards halal-friendly travel. A lot of sisters like to travel in groups of sisters, and when I say sisters, I mean ladies. And we've recently started wellness retreats. Ladies that want to go away and nutritionally make them get back on track. They might just want to get away from the kids for 2 weeks. They might want to do a bit of yoga. All those experiences that they could do on a holiday, but just don't have it all wrapped up in a halal-friendly context. So fans are great for a very limited time, and they don't, just another point, they don't also just relate to product, it can also relate to channels. So for example, VR has been very much a hot topic in travel, and my personal view of VR in travel is that it can be very, very beneficial to probably some of the bigger players in the market, for sure. But for us, do we really want to invest hundreds of thousands of pounds into VR for a potential limited return on it? So we've really got to look at what is relevant to us and what is commercially viable.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Phil. So I'd like to talk a little bit about marketing now and how, how do we go about marketing, these niches? I mean, we've talked about it being customer-led, but I guess that's not always the case. Like we were saying with you, Mike, you're going into, new frontier markets perhaps, and trying to create some buzz. So, anybody like to answer that? Robin, yeah, Robin.
Again, I think it very much depends on the niche.
Yes.
How you market, because some niche experiences can be to particular groups that have particular interest. So whether that's golf, or whether that's triathlon, or whether that's cycling, or whether that's wine, or whatever it is. So in some respects, they're the easier ones because they're very, very targeted audience already, and there's lots of channels that you can communicate to traditional print still, but also online. There's lots of opportunities there. I think the challenge gets a bit more challenging when you're creating something that's quite new. And to the point of, you're saying, going to Mozambique, that's quite a challenge of how you can communicate that to customers. But if you've got something new, PR is probably one of the best things, to be quite honest. And this is how you can really push that and make it interesting to journalists, you can make it interesting to consumers as well. So I think it very much depends on where you are. And I think there's a point I'd like to make, which is a challenge to kind of anybody who's in niche, it's the whole peer-to-peer industry as well, and how that is evolving, because it first of all, it pretty much started off with just accommodation, but that is evolving considerably, and now you're getting lots of peer-to-peer businesses that can offer niche and authentic, really truly authentic experiences as well. And I think anybody in the travel industry has to be extremely cognizant of that and how they can adapt and evolve their business to understand how they can add value to a customer, where a lot of the time customers can now, through the internet, peer-to-peer, and talk to somebody who lives there already and is a local themselves. It's how we can find a way to enhance that rather than to ignore it.
Are we starting to see consolidators of those peer-to-peer products, or people think, let's see if we can grab those and package them and then remarket them? Is that something?
I'm sure that'd be the next evolution.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was thinking. What is going to be the next thing? That's definitely at the moment peer-to-peer. A lot of people seem to be a bit afraid of it. The rest of the market's afraid, but it's quite a small proportion at the moment.
I mean, some travel companies are doing it already. So you can go to New York, for example, and you can actually be taken around the community, and around restaurants, and around museums by locals. It's not a tour company that's doing it for you. So there is a way to be able to harness that.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be an interesting area going forward for sure.
We've already started doing that because we've got A&K Philanthropy. So we've got a lot of philanthropy projects going on in a lot of destinations, and so if clients in Kenya, they'll visit a local school that we sponsor, or they'll go to a recycling thing that we sponsored. We're doing bees, we're doing all sorts of things, and you're right, and like in Vietnam, one of our best-selling tours in Vietnam, in Saigon, is a food tour in the evening on the back of a Vespa with a local food blogger.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's things like that, yeah.
That's fantastic, yeah.
Not your normal day-to-day tours. Yeah.
So again, when we talk about luxury, that's luxury in a completely different sense to how we'd imagine it, yes. But I say authenticity and unique, once in a lifetime, yeah.
And food is coming into the play more and more now. We're always asked for restaurant recommendations, something a bit different, not where everybody goes.
Yes.
A lot of people think about food when they go on holiday now.
Oh, the bill, yeah.
That ties in nicely with halal.
It's really interesting you mentioned food, because and you mentioned marketing, and you don't have to just look at travel and your database. Look on a more horizontal level and look at the collaborations you can make as well. Travel works very, very well with food or horticulture or clothing. And there's so many different aspects that you can work on. So if you're looking at a new market, you might want to look at other parts of other industries that have the same demographic, the same behavioral patterns that you're looking at, and learn a bit from them or collaborate with them.
And collaborate with similar brands to yourself.
Exactly,
like we've done a collaboration with Land Rover, where you go to Iceland, you drive your own Land Rover with technical engineers from Land Rover following you, going down waterfalls that are frozen.
Wow.
But Land Rover is a very similar brand to us, but you need to be careful who you collaborate with your brand.
Do you do that, Michael, in destination?
Yeah, I think each depends on the destination and the type of customers, and also how the type of market. For example, someone like Mozambique, you really need to work very closely with the partners, because it's not easy to get to. The airline, you can get to Johannesburg or whatever easily, but then transferring internally is quite challenging. So you need partners on the ground and partners internationally who will then persuade people, if you like, to try it. They might look at it and say, I've always wanted to go there, but I'm a bit scared, or it's not exactly easy to get there, whatever. We see also that, so it depends. If it's a domestic market, a bit like the UAE for Qasr Al Sarab or Samanias, then the local word of mouth, social media, mailings, etc., CRM to your target customers works very well. But the more challenging the destination, like Sri Lanka, again, partners come in. But PR, we have a very strong, and we focus very heavily on PR, and that's online and the traditional glossies and bloggers. In some countries, bloggers now.
Bloggers are a big deal these days, aren't they?
Really important. We're going into
they can be your advocates. We talk about advocacy. Yeah. Same with social media.
Yeah. So there's so many different channels now.
Yes. Okay. Talking about social media and technology, we're obviously talking about, situation with Debbie, like with your company and Nabil, talking very much with clients and that sort of one-to-one, face-to-face. But then what role is technology still playing in terms of that conversation and then them reposting, on social media? And how do you get the balance, I guess?
Well, a lot of our clients, we do ask them to tag us in Twitter, Facebook, and put their pictures up on Instagram, and it does work. Absolutely. We had a lady travelling in Kenya in January who has she's got about 2 million followers, and within the following 2 weeks I'd sold that holiday again twice.
Wow.
Because they'd seen it.
That's interesting.
And they followed her and they liked what she did, so they had to do it. And they did exactly the same itinerary.
Nabil, you had that?
It builds trust and credibility. Within our market specifically, trust is so important. I'm sure it's the same for everybody else, but the word spreads, within our audience, and we have a very strong linkage between person A will go on holiday, but then we have got big families generally, so person B.
So it's very much word of mouth.
It is, Mr. So-and-so will have a brother who's getting married next week, and then they'll have an auntie that wants a holiday, and then 2 years later they've got a couple of babies, and that loyalty and retention is so important. That trust is built now, not only on social media, but also just the traditional word of mouth. But social media will just make that expedite that a little bit quicker. But yes, it's very important, and you can see revenue returns on it. So certainly don't discount it.
Okay.
I think advocacy is very important as well. And in Asia, we use celebrity because, particularly China, to get these destinations going in China where they were very remote, and most of our tourism is going to be local, domestic tourism. You need film stars or pop singers or whatever to be there, go there, and then it just starts that demand.
Yeah,
There's quite a lot of that here in this market as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We saw it in Saudi Arabia actually. 3 of our Maldives island had one of the very, very senior royal families stay for 2 weeks, complete buyout. And after that, Saudi business started to come and people wanted to stay where they stayed.
I think I was due to go.
Yeah.
I think I was due to stay then. I'd enjoy that point as well.
Yeah.
I had a client say then. Thanks for that.
Helen, have you experienced, in terms of social media, what's Crystal?
Yeah, again, I think it's coming to all of our strategies. None of us in business today can not have social media and advocacy, blogging, all of these different things is a key strategy in I think what we're doing. Again, we're blessed with a very loyal database of customers, and what we're learning as we're expanding into these new brand extensions is we can cross-fertilise.
Yes.
And we've launched a new yacht at Crystal Esprit, and it's a little bit more of an active experience. It's a true yachting experience where it's got wet landings onto beaches, off zodiacs, all that kind of stuff. And interestingly, we thought we'd get the majority of our guests from our existing database.
Yes.
But in actual fact, the majority have never cruised before. They've never been with Crystal, they're brand new to the brand. So that was been a brilliant learning for us of learning, experiencing how we can look at cross-fertilising and also start to get into new segments. And move away from what we would call our traditional core business as such. But social media, going back to that, absolutely plays a critical role. We have free Wi-Fi. Now this is going to sound nuts because in hotels everybody gets free Wi-Fi, but on ships not everybody gets free Wi-Fi. Ships
it's quite pricey.
It's expensive. There's a whole different technology that needs to be taken into play with vessels that move because you have to be satellite connected and all the rest of it. But at Crystal we actually give away 60 minutes of free wireless access every day because we recognise the importance of staying in contact, but also of the advocacy that we get from the social media connections, the sharing, the Instagram, all of that kind of stuff. Interestingly, we have a very interesting cruise coming up later this summer. It's the Northwest Passage. It's a 32-day cruise where they will have actually very limited wireless access, and we're deliberately limiting it because we're going through some very remote communities who do actually have access to wireless, but we're choosing to not allow our guests to.
So they can
because otherwise, they can enjoy it without taking photographs all the time, but also we don't disrupt the communities that we're going through, because otherwise we could actually probably swamp them and take all of their connectivity. But wireless social media connections, all of that would be critical to what we do.
Before we move on to questions, Robin, have you got anything to add about advocacy? I mean, is Emirates Holidays going down that route? And
Social media is hugely important, but it's getting more challenging. I think there's so much stuff.
Because everyone's doing it.
Everyone's doing it. It's how you cut through it, how you have interesting stories. And I think that one of the things that probably surprised me over the few years is the rise of the influencer.
Yes.
Because everybody's a journalist online, everybody's got a comment.
Yeah.
Who do you trust? And what's happened in the last few years is real influencers are out there who have a voice of authority, people listen to them, and tapping into them and working with them can be quite powerful, because a lot of them have a lot of followers, and those people, they trust them and they listen to them, and that can be quite powerful. But it is, the challenge is to cut through, so from an acquisition perspective, it's cutting through with something that's interesting. And people can engage
also
with it,
not
connect to it.
overload, I guess, as well. That can be counterproductive.
But from an advocacy perspective, it's fantastic, because you've got a happy customer, they can communicate that really easily to everybody else, and that's just great. In the old days, we used to have to go somewhere else and do it, talk to our friends. Now we can do it instantaneously. And I think where it's really changed is particularly during the holiday experience. That's a really powerful thing. If you can help enable people to be able to do that, so while they're there, that really makes it even more exciting for the people that they're communicating with.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, we've got time for a few questions. I'm sure there must be some questions from the audience. So could you put your hands up and we'll get a mic over to you. If you you'd like to ask one or all of our panellists? Come on, there must be some questions, surely. There we go. You could introduce yourself, please, that would be fantastic.
Hi, my name is Ajul George and I'm from FCM. I just want to know what is the trend that has been happening in terms of business travel being clubbed and extended as leisure as well.
The pleasure trend.
Exactly, the pleasure trend.
Anyone like to address the pleasure? Go on, Karen, yeah.
I suppose the way we would look at leisure, what a joyful combination of words, with leisure dominating, which is good. Again, we wouldn't necessarily think that cruise industry, leisure, business leisure, but obviously the ships lend themselves very well to meetings on board, that kind of thing. So you get a combination, really. I suppose that's how I would say the cruise industry is addressing it, because the guests or the delegates can come on board with partners. So you're actually having that combination of leisure experience plus a working experience. So I think probably the industry for cruise, that's how we address it most, rather than an extension after a business trip, which I think probably more typically would come from a hotel or land-based vacation.
I was going to say with Michael now, I mean, I guess you have people come to your properties for business, and I think this would be great for my family. So that's a lot of what's happening, isn't it? There might be a business traveller that then comes back to one or another one of your properties. Abu Dhabi is a good example where you have a business property, and FlyNas is for conferences, but also for an amazing safari experience in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. No, I mean, we see that. We do have people who start a business, Eastern Mangroves in Abu Dhabi, and they then come out or come back. They have another business trip maybe even, and then they go and stay in FlyNas, and they can have a safari experience in the Middle East with a villa product there on the island with all the animals. But I think, also long haul, you do find people that, they've got a long haul business trip to Asia, say, and then they take the opportunity, they stay in Bangkok, do their business, maybe then the family come and join, and then they go off to Phuket or the Maldives or whatever. And that air access actually is really helping, and that's probably helping all of us, is that, from the US now you can fly easily to the Middle East, with what Emirates have done, and Qatar, I forget, but also Etihad. It's much easier to get to the Maldives or to get to Asia, with only 2 hops on a far better quality product than what the US airlines are delivering. So this is great, and I think, it's something you need to look at.
Yeah, and I guess in terms of, the travel industry, if with a travel agent could have someone dedicated to converting pleasure, business to leisure, that could be a niche you could...
Well, I think it's something that you should prompt. You're booking a trip all the way to Bangkok. Well, why don't you go up to Chiang Mai or Golden Triangle and experience the elephant from the jungle, and then, I think you need to upsell it, as well.
Oh yeah, Robin, and then we've got time for one more question. Yes.
A lot of colleagues went to Europe for this event, and I guess maybe a quarter of them were doing leisure.
Right, so perfect example.
Exactly the example. I was talking to somebody last night, and they've done it. They're staying on for a few extra days, and the partner's coming out, so that's a perfect example.
Brilliant. Have we got time? 1 minute. Right, one question. 1 minute, one question. Gentleman over there.
Thank you. Imtiaz Mukbal from Travel Impact USY in Bangkok. My question is to my colleague from Bangkok, Mr. Marshall, but anybody else who would like to comment. Isn't this whole business about branding? You started off by talking about branding, but isn't this whole business of branding going a little bit overboard? I don't think people in the hotel business themselves know what the brands exist in other hotel sectors. Where is this all going to lead? It's just becoming a sort of case of semi-anarchy at the moment, with all these brands coming out all the time.
So really you're saying, we've got a proliferation of brands and it's becoming too much and nobody knows what each one stands for, is that correct?
Yes.
Right, okay, in a nutshell. Big question, but...
1 minute. I think it's the responsibility of the brand or that company or whatever to make you really understand what that brand stands for and what the essence is and what the DNA is and what you're going to get when you get there, and if you're just putting a logo and a name and it's just cookie cut, which, you know, there are many brands out there that are just cookie cut, then, you know, that's totally different from really what branding and what hotel brands should be doing.
Yeah, I agree with Michael there as well. It's about the brand and letting your customer know. When our sales consultants pick up the phone, they talk about the brand before the trip. Before they even start talking about what the client wants or where they want to go, they talk about Abercrombie and Kent and what we can do for them and let them know what the brand is about. Because they may not know, but before launching into what they want and what they don't want, we definitely talk about the brand first.
Just as well, just to add from a brand perspective, Crystal, we are moving into a different brand position, but we're bringing our customers and our wider partners with us. We're keeping Crystal. That's the core brand, and then brand extension. So again, it's very clearly evident who we are, what we are. We keep the DNA running through, but it's the brand that the key brand is Crystal itself, with the various extensions under.
And the brand that they trust.
And this brand that they trust.
Okay, lovely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we've got time for today. So please give our panellists a big round of applause. And thank you for coming, and see you again next year.